This is News Talk 980 CKNW.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're enjoying your Wednesday. Beautiful day out there. Time, as always, to turn our attention to money, the midweek Money Talks report with our good friend Michael Campbell. And after so much talk of rising real estate prices, now, of course, the worry, a market correction. First, it was the people that couldn't afford to get in that were worried. Now it's the people that own the homes that are worried. Sales definitely down, but is it just the usual summer talk or something bigger happening? Michael Campbell, the host of Canada's #1 rated financial show, Money Talks, joins us to go a little deeper into the numbers. Michael, good afternoon.
Hi, Shane. You're right. It's a beautiful day, but you're right. The conversation seems to have completely changed in the last few weeks.
It depends on where you are, right? If you're trying to buy, it's crazy, or, things are slowing down. And if you own a place, you're like, uh-oh, what's happening?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, and there are things happening. I think it's the size of the drop in sales activity that's really grabbed people. I mean, things are really slow. You look at what's happened so far in August. You got single-family home sales down about 71% compared to last year. Condo sales in Greater Vancouver down nearly 50%. North Vancouver condo sales are down 40%. I mean, everywhere we look, there's another story to tell, but it's all similar. Here's a beauty, though. West Van single-family home sales are down about 86%. Richmond down about 88%. So, there's been a dramatic slowdown.
So now this tends to happen in the summertime. I know traditionally people, they're not really looking to move in the summer. It's vacation time, yada, yada. How much of it is that, and how much of it is, that new 15% tax maybe?
Well, that's that big question because, but the trouble is we don't have enough data yet. I mean, we do know this though. I mean, I'll tell you this: a drop like I've just chronicled certainly has got my attention. But we've got 3 months now of slower sales leading into this kind of a drop, and I think and the size of the drop certainly is worrisome. We're seeing an uptick in listings that won't be good in terms of the health of the market. But the point is, I mean, certainly what the activity is it certainly merits our attention, but we don't have enough data yet.
Michael Campbell joining us as always. Money Talks. You can hear him, host of Canada's #1 rated financial show. Let me ask you. You mentioned listings probably up because people think, I can cash in right now.
Yeah.
But once people start looking at these numbers and see sales down, could that move people to not list their homes? Go, okay, you know what? Now's not the time. And then all of a sudden you've got supply down and maybe demand goes back up.
There's a couple of things I think come into play though, because there's a lot of psychology. I think you may have had a lot of people on the sidelines thinking, I want to list my home, but man, I don't want to sell it now and watch it go up another 25%. So maybe they've been sitting on the sidelines. And the first sign of things slowing, they may have flooded the market. That may be what we're seeing in that increase in uptick in listings. That may be the case at this point. But, the other side is that you don't see a price adjustment yet. I mean, that takes a while to filter through to the market. People have listed their homes, I don't know what the number is, but maybe it's got to take 30 days or 50 days or 60 days because we definitely have seen an upshot in listings, but I don't think we've seen any real change in the pricing yet at this point.
And you're right. That does take time. People need to be sitting with it a little longer. And there'll probably be a lot of people, I imagine, disappointed because they probably thought, okay, here, I'm going to cash in right now. Yeah. And then all of a sudden things slow down.
Well, psychologically, again, that money was one of the things I've never, when talking to people over all these years, I've never had somebody undervalue their home.
Right.
Well, my home's worth $75 million now.
Right.
They see that uptick because it makes them feel good. Reality then takes hold. So maybe we've got a little bit of that because I certainly know enough people anecdotally who'd list, pick a price and say, well, if they were going to give me this, I'd be jumping out of the market. That'd be fine with me. But of course, we didn't reach those prices. So that's where you get a little bit of a glut of listings, that kind of thing. And as I say, I don't know whether this is just the summer doldrums. I looked at the numbers out of the States today, and they've had a big drop in new home sales there. But again, that's why September is going to be much more important, I think, than August at this point.
When people talk about a correction, Michael, the houses have gone up so much that even if the things corrected and everything went down 25%, for argument's sake, people who own homes, unless you bought it in the last 2 years, you'd still be fine, I would think.
Absolutely right. I mean, when we're talking about today's prices, it's significantly different than they were just 2 years ago. Let me throw one more, because we talk a lot about foreign owners. Keep in mind, if an American had bought home in Vancouver just 2 years ago, they still haven't broken even because of the change in the currency over the last 2.5, 3 years. Same with the Chinese buyers, because, again, their currency is tacked onto the U.S. currency. It's pegged to it. It doesn't move quite the same degree, but still, they have seen nowhere near the kind of size size of the gain. So they're sort of sitting there on that money. And then the other side, as you say, I mean, thank goodness. I mean, only the people coming in the last couple of years would be troubled by, a 10 or 15% correction.
And before I let you go again, just on this, when you're talking long run, if you didn't buy your house with the extensive purpose of making money, if you bought your house like most people do to kind of live in your house, you're there for the long haul. There's no real reason to panic, I wouldn't think. It's not like they're making any more land in Vancouver.
No, you're quite right. It's people who are speculating, and I would bet people who are building, developers who may have had a 2-year time horizon may not like a slowdown like this if it gets more difficult to sell new units or new homes, et cetera. That would be the trouble areas. Because, as you say, I mean, most of us aren't planning to move. I think one of the stories I've heard an awful lot, Shane, was people going, I don't know where I'd go if I did sell my house, even at a great price. I mean, clearly Victoria, Nanaimo, et cetera, have been beneficiaries, but, that's a big sentiment. So, no, I think the real key is this, though, and where it might affect us more, is that if we got a slowdown in housing, then you get a slowdown in construction, then you got a slowdown in, the overall economic growth, because housing and construction are our biggest industries in this province, and I don't think in the kind of global economic environment, the national economic environment, we want to see a slowdown. So I suspect, as you say, for the person sitting at home saying, I'm living in this thing for another 20 years, that's where they'd feel the impact.
Michael, as always, thank you so much. Always educational, to say the least.
My pleasure. Thanks, Shane.
Thank you. That's Michael Campbell, host of Canada's #1 rated financial show, Money Talks.
Vancouver's News, Vancouver's Talk. This is News Talk 980, CKNW.